A pleasant day to all of you. My name is John Ryan Enriquez, taking up Masters of Arts in Education major in English. My topic is about gamification as a tool for grammar mastery among Vietnamese English learners. This thesis is presented to the faculty of the Graduate School for Eastern University, Roosevelt, Tabuzo, Philippines. The rationale of the study is to explore the effectiveness of gamification as a tool or grammar mastery among Vietnamese English learners. The study will examine how incorporating game-based elements to the learning process can influence motivation, engagement, and the understanding and application of English grammar. Despite its growing popularity, there is a need for empirical evidence to support the efficacy of gamification in educational contexts, particularly within the realm of language acquisition. By investigating the impact of gamified learning interventions, this study aims to contribute to the field of language education and provide actionable insight for educators seeking to improve grammar instruction methods. The locale of the study's situation in Vietnam. Ocean Edu Vietnam is an educational institution that provides English language learning services to students in the region. The institution is committed to offering quality education and fostering conducive learning environment for its students. Ocean Edu Vietnam follows a structured curriculum tailored to the needs of Vietnamese English learners with a focus on enhancing proficiency in various aspects, including grammar. The institution employs qualified educators who provide effective instruction and support to students. The respondents, the scope of this study encompasses a specific group of participants, 30 students aged between 9 to 10 years old, who were enrolled at Ocean Edu Vietnam during the academic year 2024-2025. The methodology involved administering pre-test and post-test assessments within a 30-minute time frame to gauge the students' grammar proficiency before and after engaging with gamified learning activities. Now for my SOPs. SOP 1, what are the pre-test scores of the respondents in the grammar test? As you can see in the graph, the table that shows the pre-test scores of respondents before the implementation of the gamification strategy in grammar. The results show that the lowest score range obtained by only 1 or 3% respondents is 4 to 6, described as poor performance, while scores obtained by 5 or 17% were in the highest score range of 13 to 15. Categorized as excellent, the highest number of respondents, 13 or 43% out of 30, got scores in the range of 10 to 12, which corresponds to very good performance. Now let's move on to my second SOP. What are the post-test scores of the respondents in grammar tests after the implementation of gamification strategy? Table 2 shows that the post-test results indicate learners' performance in English grammar significantly improved after the implementation of the gamification strategy, with 77% of students scoring in the excellent range 13 to 15, and the remaining 23% performing at a very good level 10 to 12. This improvement is consistent with findings in the literature emphasize the positive impact. According to Johnson William, gamification strategies foster increased motivation and active participation among learners. Now for SOP3, is there a significant difference in the pre-test and the post-test results in grammar tests of the respondents after the implementation of gamification strategy? Now in this table, reveal the difference in the pre-test and the post-test scores of the student respondents before after the intervention of gamification learning strategy. The data shows an increase of 17% post-test with a t-value of 6.91 and less than 0.05 p-value result of 0001 after the result of null hypothesis was rejected, indicating significant difference between the pre-test and post-test scores in learners of grammar. Now, for the SOP4, what program can be proposed based on the findings of the study? So this program is about a professional development program proposal, a seminar workshop for teachers on the effectiveness of gamification in education. The proposed seminar workshop for teachers about gamification education will be conducted in one-day session during the week-long inset program school. This will be held on the second day of the inset for 8 hours. An 8-hour seminar workshop will teach and develop teachers on the integration of the gamification strategy. On the summer day, this program is proposed based on the findings of the study, which revealed that the implementation of gamification as an instructional strategy significantly improves students' performance in English grammar. Now, in SOP4, financial planning. Now, this is the table on how I planned the proposed program, the description and budget. Materials needed is 2,000 for the workshop. Food and drinks, the refreshment is 5,000, and certificate and stipend, that's for 3,000, in total of 10,000 pesos. Now, for the target, those teachers and students, they're all selected participants. Now, the hypothesis, there is no significant difference between the pre-test and post-test scores in grammar tests of respondents after the implementation of gamification strategy. Now, the theories. Social constructivism theory, gamification can be enhanced for Vietnamese English learners through social constructivism. The second one is the computer-assisted instruction, or CAI. CAI refers to range of digital tools and technologies used to support and enhance learning process. This theory acts as a foundation of modern pedagogy, especially in language education. It also supports individualized and interactive learning, accommodating diverse students' needs. It facilitates digital transformation in education, particularly in countries like Vietnam, and serves as a platform for gamification, enabling engaging instructional methods. The other theory is about the digital literacy theory. Implied, this theory considers a learner's ability to effectively use digital tools for communication, learning, and problem solving. This theory helps various learners and influences how well students can navigate and benefit from interactive platforms, and highlights the need for localized and support, especially in Vietnam. Now, the gamification theory as part of CAI. Gamification applies game design elements, example rewards, competition, progress tracking, and non-game context as education. Now, the conceptual framework. Now, there's a given diagram here. The gamification is tool for grammar mastery. I'm going to conduct the pre-test and incorporate gamification, then post-test, and what's the result of the comparison of pre-test and post-test, and the proposed training program. Quantitative approach. The study utilized pre-test and post-test design to assess the impact of gamified instruction. Researchers first administered a pre-test to establish the students' baseline knowledge of English grammar. Subsequently, the students participated in gamified grammar lessons. By comparing the results of the pre-test and post-test, the study aimed to determine if the gamified approach led to measurable improvement in the students. This research sought to contribute to the existing body of knowledge on the efficacy of gamification as a tool for language learning, particularly within the context of young learners acquiring English as a foreign language. The findings from this study could provide valuable insights into the potential benefits of incorporating gamified elements into grammar instructions for this specific age group. Now, the sampling, the participants in this study, Vietnamese learners 9 to 10 enrolled at Ocean Edu, Vietnam during the academic year 2024 to 2025, a non-probability purposive sampling technique was utilized to select participants based on specific criteria relevant to the study's objectives. The researcher targeted a specific group of students within Ocean Edu's Vietnam students population who met the following criteria: age between 9 to 10 years old, enrolled in English language courses at Ocean Edu, Vietnam, and willing to participate in this study. The methodology. The locale of the study was in Ocean Edu, situated in Vietnam. Is an educational institution that provides English language learning services to students in the region. The institution is committed to offering quality education and fostering a conducive learning environment for its students. Ocean Edu, Vietnam follows a structured curriculum tailored to the needs of Vietnamese English learners, with a focus on enhancing language proficiency in various aspects, including grammar. The institution employs qualified educators who provide effective instruction and support to students. The research instrument utilized in this study was a teacher-made pretest and post-test designed to assess the effectiveness of gamified instruction in enhancing grammar proficiency among Vietnamese learners. Aged 9 to 10 at Ocean Edu, Vietnam, both the pretest and post-test consisted of 15 items encompassing various aspects of English grammar relevant to participants' learning objectives. The content of the text focused on fundamental grammar concepts such as verb tenses, subject-verb agreement, sentence structure, and punctuation. The pretest excerpt measured participants' prior knowledge of English grammar before exposure to gamified instruction, while the post-test evaluated their acquired knowledge and understanding following the intervention. Data gathering, the researcher followed the timeline presented in Figure 6 below in preparing and conducting the research. So I have a fourth week in this data gathering. As you can see, the date and activities that I did during the research. Data analysis, the data gathered for this study were arranged, tallied, and tabulated to make the presentation and interpretation of the results reliable, dependable. The data gathered were subjective, appropriate. Statistical tools, specifically the following statistical tools were used to address each statement of the problem. The SOP1, what are the pre-test scores of the respondents in grammar test? Now, the data gathered were subjected to frequency distribution, percentage, mean, and standard deviation analysis. This analysis provides insights into distribution of pre-test scores among Vietnamese English learners aged 9 to 10 years old. The second one, what are the post-test scores of respondents in grammar tests after implementation of gamification? Well, the data collected were subjected to frequency distribution, percentage, mean, and standard deviation analysis. This analysis aims to assess the distribution of post-tests among Vietnamese learners, students 9 to 10. And lastly, is there a significant difference between the pre-test and post-test scores of the respondents in the grammar test after gamification strategy? Now, in this part, to determine the significant difference between the pre-test and post-test scores of experimental group, the data collected were subjected to a paired t-test. Two statistical tests compares the mean scores of the pre-test and post-test. to ascertain whether the improvement in grammar proficiency after gamification implementation is statistically significant. Now, the summary of findings. The pretty score distribution, as you can see here, there is a pie chart. And pretty scores distribution before gamification, these are the color legend. Now, the majority of students, 43%, scored in the mid-range 10 to 12, followed closely by 37% in the lower mid-range 7 to 9. Very few students performed at the highest level of 17%, and only one student scored in the lowest 3%. This suggests that prior using gamification, most students were performing at an average, below average level. Now, for the post-test scores distribution, as you can see the colors, a dramatic improvement is evident that 77% of the students reached the highest score after the implementation of gamification. Only 23% remain in the 10-12 range. No students scored in the lower ranges below, indicating a clear shift toward high performance. In conclusion, based on the foregoing findings, the following conclusions were drawn. The pretty scores obtained by the English learners suggest that the performance of the students before the implementation of the intervention is very good. The post scores obtained implies that English learners' performance in grammar after using gamification as a teaching strategy in their curriculum improved, as evidenced by the post-test mean obtained described as excellent. Finally, with a computed t-value less than the significance level, the null hypothesis was rejected, indicating the significant difference between the pre-test and post-test scores of the English learners in grammar. Hence, the use of gamification intervention, grammar 9 to 10, a learner is effective. Okay, for the recommendation, well, the findings of the study affirm that Vietnamese English learners show a strong preference for gamification, particularly through online language games. This suggests a need for educators and curriculum developers to respond appropriately, as gamification holds great potential for making English education in Vietnam more engaging and effective. To maximize its benefits, gamification should be incorporated into English curriculum, and teachers must be provided with the adequate training to implement it successfully. However, the use of competitive elements such as leaderboards may discourage some students, particularly those who lack self-confidence and dislike competition as well. To address this, it is recommended that teachers integrate collaborative elements into gamified activities to ensure inclusivity and encourage instruction. Further, exploration of diverse game-based learning applications is strongly encouraged to support language skill development. English Learner Centers provide more comprehensive, widely applicable for this finding. And this is the end of my presentation. Have a good day and goodbye, everyone.